Hello and welcome everyone. It is me, the lover, also known as the Power to do this, back for you with another deck profile. As kind of teased in the community post a bit, I've been playing a good bit of Edison again lately. Threw together a new Morphtronic list for that format, and I wanted to share that with you guys. Also, before we get started, just like huge shout outs to the couple guys that like wished me a speedy recovery under the last video. It means a lot. It's highly appreciated. Getting into this deck, I think a very easy start are 3 copies of Morphtronic Saffron. Finally have a use for the second place that I own. Pretty simple. Just like in, any other format, Saffron allows you to roll a 6-sided die, reveal that many cards from the top of your deck, and special summons a level 4 or lower Morphtronic from those cards. This is an incredibly powerful swarming effect, especially in a format that is, a bit lower to the ground as Edison. Highly cool card. Very glad I get some use out of the added copies that I own. Something that I now own more copies of and didn't know this was common charity legal are 3 copies of Morphtronic Remote. And this is a very good level 3 tuner that allows you to target a Morphtronic in your graveyard and then banish it and add a Morphtronic with the same level from your deck to your hand. Kind of gives you some setup for follow-up turns, which is very nice, because in Edison you will often have to think about, what are you doing on the next turn. And Remoteness is very great at setting up more synchro plays on the follow-up as a Remoten on the field, or like a Remoten in hand with a repair unit, and a level 4 engrave allows you to make another 7 on the follow-up, which is kind of nice. Which is pretty much what the deck aims to do and wants to do. Remoten does help a good bit with that. Then we have 3 of, I believe, a card I've talked about maybe once on the channel before, 3 Morphtronic Borden. This is, nicely enough, also a machine duplication target, and while this is in defense, other Morphtronics you control cannot be destroyed by battle. And while it is in attack, Morphtronics you control can attack directly. 1800 makes this a decent set, and if you machine dupe this and get to summon 2 in defense, you can basically prevent your opponent from destroying your Morphtronics by battle, which is kind of neat. Allows you to maybe cheese out a couple turns. But you have to be like kind of careful because, a deck like Black Wings in the format does have a very relevant Piercer and Borer. Don't be like, hey, this is going to keep me alive for like ages. 3 Morphtronic Scope, and this helps immensely with making, those Synchro 7s, which we are trying to make. Because while this is an attack, you can special level 4 Morphtronic from hand, and while this is in defense, it is treated as a level 4. This does come in clutch once or twice, because if you summon this off of a Saffron, you can make a level 5 Synchro immediately. Alloy of Justice Catastro is just an incredible card in the format. So having, easy access to that is kind of nice. On top of that, having the attack position effect to, more easily make Synchro 7s is also pretty great, with, Power to Dragon being one of the main ones. But even having, easy access to like a Black Rose Dragon is pretty great. 3 Morphtronic Radion, this is something my level 4 lineup in the last one that I did was like a bit wacky because I wasn't like a 2-2-2 lineup. Maxed out on Radion this time because I feel like Radion is an impeccable card in this format. Not only an 1800 normal summon, because while this is an attack, all Morphtronics you control gain 800, but also a 1900 set if you need it, because while this is in defense, all Morphtronics you control gain 1000 defense. Making this a very flexible card. The nice part about this, funnily enough, is that it's a Thunder type. So you cannot Chimera Tech Fortress this. This is not usually the bane of this deck's existence. Post side deck, you cannot play a machine deck in Edison because everyone will be on Cyber Dragon and fuse away half your board. Radion is a very good card, a decent stat line for a normal summon or normal set, and just helps immensely with getting some pressure going. 2 Morphtronic Slingen, this is just good spot removal to have, because while in attack position you can also put on Tribute another Morphtronic that is not a Morphtronic Slingen, and pop a card on the field, which is kind of nice. It helps you, get rid of back row. Once chained like 3 to 5 summons, pop the back row and was a bottomless. Feels good because most of this deck plays under bottomless, which is kind of nice. 1 Sangan, this could be another like staple, I feel like, but I do like having Sangan here because it's a decent set turn 1. And also just a decent card overall to have, because nicely enough, this basically grabs any Morphtronic. There is no Morphtronic with a stat line above 1500 in any format. scanning is exactly 1500. So having, you know, the searching for like basically anything in your deck, I believe, is kind of nice. For the one-offs, we are playing a 1-for-1 for added consistency because this grabs us Saffron. We're playing a Brain Control. Crazy good card in this format. I've been screwed by this so many times because this stealing a Power 2 Dragon and the double 2 C&D falling off is the bane of my existence, but just an incredible card. The one Heavy Storm and the one MST you're allowed to play. These are the one-off spells that I play, or rather the limited one-off spells that I play. For other, I guess, engine requirements, we are on, as mentioned earlier, we're on 3 Machine Dupe. This is one of the things that gives this deck like a bit of steam in this format. You can sometimes maybe set up like a line where you can Machine Dupe for like a big push with like two Synchros on like a turn 3, turn 4. If you get rid of back row with like a Dust Tornado on MST in the end phase, which is kind of nice. So yeah, and you do have a couple good targets. Saffron, Remoten, and Borden are all pretty fine targets. Remoten, funnily enough, the least of these three, but Borden and Saffron are great targets for this. I'm playing one Morphtronic map in the main. I just like this card. Every time the battle position of a monster is changed, you can put a morph counter on it, and Morphtronics gain 300 for each morph counter on this. And when this is destroyed and sent from field to the graveyard, you can special summon a Morphtronic monster from your graveyard, which is kind of cool. I just like this card because, like, in very simplified game states, this could be kind of nice. If you're maybe swapping, you know, a couple battle positions, because even gaining like 3 to 600, which is fairly easy to do, is pretty nice. You flip someone like a monster, it gains a counter. Just a neat card. I like it. I like it a lot. Technically something I would want to look into maybe playing more, but currently I just didn't find the space. For equips, we are on double 2 C&D. This is your offensive equip, I guess. You can equip this only to Power Tool Dragon and a level form of Tronic that is a machine type. During your turn, it gains 1000, and the more relevant portion of this effect, funnily enough, is if it attacks an opponent's monster, that monster's effects are negated on the field until the end of the damage step. So you can run into Raikos, stuff that is indestructible by battle, fairly easily, take those out without your opponent getting value, which is kind of nice. And for, you know, the defensive equips, we are on 3 Reaper unit, a simple Premature Burial, discard a Morphtronic, summon a Morphtronic from graveyard, equip it with this card. Very cool card, very cool card. Does help a lot on like follow-up turns and does set up for like potential synchro plays on a follow-up. Very nice, but you can also just like extend with it. For limited traps, we are on a Mirror Force, a Torrential Tribute, and a No. Yeah, great cards. I think these are probably like, these are what I felt like were the, you know, 3 best limited traps that I could be running. So yeah. Just decided to run those. I am on 1 copy of Starlight Road, which funnily enough, I only found out in testing that this is not a counter trap. I blame myself. If your opponent activates an effect that would destroy like 2 or more cards that you control, negate the effect, destroy that card, and then you can special summon a Stardust Dragon from the extra deck. Great card. I love this card in this format. Basically a second Solemn Judgment against Heavy Storm specifically, which is so nice because Heavy Storm is a massive blowout. So having that is just great. For the rest of the trap lineup, I'm on 2 Dust Tornado for some, you know, added back row removal. Huge fan of this card, as like copies 2 and 3 of MST. And 2 copies of Dimensional Prison. This is just a nice battle trap that deals with a lot of things. Banishes an opponent's attacking monster after targeting it. The one thing this doesn't deal with in the format is Thought Ruler Archfiend, but I feel like that's, although that's kind of picking up as like a play, people are realizing how good Thought Ruler is. So yeah. For the extra deck, there's a lot of two-offs in this, funnily enough, compared to other Edison decks, I'd say. 2 copies of Power Tool Dragon. Reveals 3 equips, adds 1 to your hand, and if it would be destroyed and has an equip card equipped to it, you can send the equip card instead. Very simple card, still my favorite card in the entire game, and I'm very glad I get to roll up with him to a format where he's, you know, the main man again. 2 copies of a Stardust Dragon, 1 for the Starlight Road, 1 just if you can make hard make it. Incredible card, 2500. If your opponent activates a card or effect that would destroy one of your cards, you can tribute him, resummon him in the end phase, and destroy and negate that card that would destroy a card that you control. For the rest of the 8s, okay, my camera just decided to shut itself off. Yeah, for the rest of the 8s on a Colossal Fighter, just a big guy that floats, pretty nice. Also for the Armory Armor FTK, which you OTK that you can set up rather easily. And as mentioned earlier, a Thought Ruler Archfiend, incredible card, can pay 1,000 to negate a spell or trap that targets a psychic monster on the field. A lot of removal in this format still targets. So having a guy that basically can pay 1,000 to say no to that is incredible. Thought Ruler Archfiend is an incredible card. Also kind of self-sustaining, because if he destroys a monster by battle, you gain life points equal to its attack. Very cool card. Very cool card. For, I guess, you know, the ones that reside on the limited list, we have a Black Rose Dragon, we have a Goyo Guardian, and we have a Brionac Dragon of the Ice Barrier. Having a board wipe easily accessible is kind of huge, like massive even. Goyo Guardian is just an absolute house, 2800, beats over everything, steals monsters your opponent controls, crazy card. And Brionac for the mass bouncing is also crazy. Funnily enough, this is one of the few decks that could make Posterata Goyo Guardian, you know, but that's that. For like another 6 that I'm running 1 Iron Chain Dragon. This was a very late inclusion. In like testing, I was like, okay, yeah, sometimes I want to make like a 6, but I want to have like a low commitment 6. And I feel like Iron Chain Dragon is like a perfectly fine card. It's 2500, beats over a lot of things. Can screw you in a couple matchups, because this does mill 3 cards from the top of your opponent's deck if it inflicts battle damage. And there's a lot of decks in the format that do interact very favorably with the graveyard. But yeah, I don't know. Iron Chain Dragon's just here as like a nice low commitment 6. This could probably also be like another 8, just for toolboxing, but you know, it is what it is. 2 Catastor. The second copy of this could and probably should be an Android, but Android's €8 at the moment, and I'm not paying that for an Android. Otherwise, Catastor is still like a fine card. Start a damage step. If he battles a face-up non-dark, destroy that monster. Very simple. You easily make him. And you can easily also kind of, you know, just chill on him, which is very nice. 2 copies of Armory Arm. This deck does make the level 4 rather easily. And just having the second one is kind of nice in my experience. Sometimes just taking a leftover remote and a south one if you don't have a battle trap to turn those into an 1800 is neat. And otherwise, you know, you can easily make this, equip it onto a power tool dragon to make it a bit bigger and give it protection, which is still like a nice way to make use of this card. And 15th card is the Edison tags in Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. I despise this card post side deck because it just deals with everything. But that's, I guess, you know, the one problem you have when you're playing a machine deck in Edison. So yeah. Otherwise, I really enjoyed playing Edison again. I think it's a great format. Kind of a bit lower to the ground than, you know, the modern environment is, and also allows me to, you know, play a lot of cards that I'm very nostalgic about. Not only, you know, the Morphtronics, of course, but I'm also playing those in like modern. But, you know, stuff like a Morphtronic Map, which I think is an incredibly cool field spell, even if it sees like no play. Double 2 C&D, getting to rock up with that again is crazy. And of course, you know, all these silly back row cards that, like, you know, nobody plays nowadays anymore. But I, of course, played back in the day when I was still playing on, you know, the school playground. Is very cool. So, you know, getting to rock up with all of that is just incredibly sick. So with all that out of the way, I will thank you guys, of course, very much for watching, and I will be seeing you guys again next time. But until then, goodbye.